What's happening, everyone? Boylon here for another Marvel Strike Force video, and this time we're going to be slowing down a bit and giving back to all of the early and mid-game players who watch my channel. So, this video will be focusing on prepping the right characters and working on getting through the level 70 campaigns, which for this video anyways, is going to include Heroes and Villains Chapter 7 alongside Nexus Chapter 8. There are a handful of good characters locked behind these nodes, and I hope that this guide will help to get you there and farming these characters, such as Hela, Thanos, among others. For the purposes of this video, we will be doing another round at my PowerPoint, where I think I've articulated my thoughts a little bit better there, rather than us staring blankly at the campaign screen as I talk about it. So I hope that this helps, and of course, if there's anything that I wasn't clear about or any questions and concerns, feel free to leave a comment below or get at me via Discord. But without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, and so just like the ISO guide, I'm not going to be visible on my blue screen here. I didn't want to get in the way of any of the guide here, so we'll be going through it together. Hopefully you guys won't miss me too much. So this is a guide about Hero 7, Villain 7, and Nexus 8 campaign chapters. They do unlock at level 70 Commander level. So once you get there, you will start off with Hero 7-1, and then as you go through that, you'll unlock the others. So these are the start of the new trait-based node requirements. So while we did have Cosmic chapters and the Mystic chapter and all that, it wasn't until Hero 7 and Villain 7 where they started adding traits to each of the nodes, every 3 nodes. And this carried on, of course, for Doom War and the ones after that as well. So by going through these nodes, you will unlock characters like Colossus, Hela, Ironheart, Karnak, and Thanos as of now, as of this video. They may add more characters to these and maybe replace existing nodes. There are some superior basic catalyst nodes in there. Don't know if they're going to get replaced with real characters, but these are the ones that are farmable as of this video. So we're going to start off with Heroes Chapter 7-1. And the nodes 7-1 to 7-3, and these are city hero characters only. And after clearing this Hero 7-1, you do unlock Villains Chapter 7. So you don't need to actually go through the entire Hero 7 chapter in order to unlock it. So for those of you who are maybe just streamlining straight to Hela, then maybe the best thing would just be clearing 7-1, and you just need to get a 1-star on that, and you can unlock Villains Chapter 7 and be on your way towards Hela. But we're going to be going through the rest of the nodes anyways before we get to the Villains chapter. So for this, because it's city heroes, and keep that in mind, sometimes I forget that even though you're in the Heroes chapter, you can only use hero characters. These are some of the top characters that you can use for this. So if you have got Symbiote Spider-Man, he's a great addition for this, and it'll probably make it really easy. Other characters that you can use is Ghost Rider, a Squirrel Girl who as of this video isn't farmable, and same with Symbiote Spider-Man, although hopefully coming soon in a couple of days, Symbiote Spider-Man will be entering into the Milestone Orb. So while it's not really farmable, he will become slightly more available for those people who haven't unlocked him yet. And then of course there's Miss Marvel, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man OG. So you could create a sort of semi-Young Avengers team if you don't have any of the other characters. Now, alternatives to these would be the Defenders characters. I kind of listed them in order of usefulness, I think. So Punisher, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist, and then Daredevil, and then Luke Cage, if you really need to. Punisher can fit in with some of the other city characters because he does do additional damage against villains, but definitely the ones in the top category there, those are probably your best if you do have them available. And so moving on, we will get to Heroes 7-4 to 7-6. Now this doesn't actually result in any character farms, any character farm shards at this point. It is a superior basic catalyst node, but it might actually change it in the future, so who knows. It is global heroes only. So the first thought really would be Phoenix and the X-Men. Now, you know, if you're looking just to clear, I would say do that if you can. If you have Phoenix available, then just do that. If you're looking for just the 1 or the 2-star or whatever, but you won't get 3-star unless you use Beast, who also, as of this video, isn't farmable. But if you do have him unlocked, you can use him alongside Phoenix and the X-Men, and that'll make it a lot easier for you to get through the nodes on a 3-star due to Beast's passive. Other than X-Men characters, though, you can include other global heroes such as Shuri and Yo-Yo, who also aren't farmable. Shuri is a legendary unlock. Vision, Falcon, and then Shield if you do have Nick Fury and Coulson, who again aren't farmable. and Quake, who I put last. So those would be Shield, and those characters would be good if you do have them available. Otherwise, I would recommend Shuri is a good copy and paste into any team. Very solid character, very solid support character who will probably at least support you through the level, and then you just need some damage on top of that. So any of these characters listed will get you through the nodes. If you do have Phoenix and X-Men, though, of course, that will make it a lot easier. And so moving on to Heroes 7-7 to 7-9. Now this is where you're actually going to get Colossus unlocked and farmable at Heroes 7-9. This is Cosmic Heroes only. I just wanted to reiterate that we're still only on Heroes. The top choices for this, though, include Asgardians where possible. I know that's only going to be Sif, Thor, and Heimdall, but other fill-ins can also include Black Bolt, Invisible Woman. I know not everyone's going to have Black Bolt by this point, but if you do have Black Bolt or Invisible Woman, those are great stand-ins. Also Captain Marvel, who is now temporarily farmable, at least on Heroes 6-9, so if you don't have Captain Marvel, or you do have Captain Marvel, would consider that. Also Crystal only if you're using Black Bolt. Star-Lord is also a great fill-in for this as well. Now the Guardians of the Galaxy on a whole are usable, but I think you would need a higher team power than you would some of the other characters to clear this node to 3-star. But you know, if that's what you have and that's what you've been leveling, then they'll get you through as well. So moving on to Villains 7-1 to 7-3. Now this is a little bit lengthy because this is probably the hardest part of these campaign chapters due to who's available. So you can only use AIM, Hydra, and Sinister Six. Most people will opt to use AIM. They are the lowest team power requirements at around 140, 150k reported. Now that is typically using Scientist Supreme, Graviton, AIM Researcher, who I'm not actually a big fan of, but for the purposes of these nodes only, she is worth leveling up for that. And then of course AIM Security, who is a must, and then AIM Assaulter, sorry. So definitely the most optimal is Scientist Supreme, Graviton, and AIM Security. And then you don't have to use AIM Researcher. I actually did it with AIM Monstrosity and AIM Assaulter, but I did have it at a higher power. It was somewhere around, probably close to 250, so I really overpowered that. But also consider your existing red stars and who you have available to you. Consider adding in Baron Zemo if you do have him unlocked, if you unlocked him via the Blitz, or if you just got really lucky in an orb pull, as he is in the orbs now, as he's going to trash all of those nodes. The majority of them do have minions in it, so Baron Zemo's passive really takes minion characters to town. So if you do have Baron Zemo unlocked, even though he is part of Hydra and not AIM, he will actually do really well in these nodes too. Red Skull can be an option if you have him unlocked as well, because his ultimate actually gives offense up to everyone, and his summons will actually give you turn bar to everyone, 30% I believe at level 6, and he will provide extra meat shields through his summons if need be. The Sinister Six, while a lot of people probably do have Sinister Six because they are unlock requirements for Shuri and Invisible Woman, you do need a much higher team power to clear it. Probably 200k. I've even heard maybe a little bit higher, like 220, 230, depending on who you're using and what kind of RNG luck you have. So keep that in mind if you are trying to go the Sinister Six route. It is not recommended. You know, if you can substitute some of them in, some of the Sinister Six out with Baron Zemo or Red Skull, that might give you an edge and you might be able to clear it at a lower team power, but it will still be pretty difficult. So just keep that in mind if that's what you're planning. Alright, so moving on to Villains 7-4 to 7-6. Now this is the Hela unlock node, and this is probably the most important reason why a lot of people are here, because Hela's amazing still, and she's really great. And so trying to get her farmable as fast as possible when you hit level 70 will go a long way, especially since Hela is required to unlock Black Bolt, which is a really important farm. So this is Villains Mystic only. Now there isn't a lot of choice there, and a lot of these choices do overlap with the Phoenix unlock as well, because that's Villain Mystic Controller. So the top choices for this actually ironically include Hela herself. So if you do have her unlocked from orbs or whatever, or you bought an offer or whichever, definitely use her as a top pick. Aside from that, you can use characters like Loki and Mordo, who are both usable in the Phoenix campaign as well. Both really solid characters, both for the Cosmic campaign and the Mystic campaign, so you won't go wrong by gearing these characters up because you'll use them elsewhere as well. Thanos is another one. Now, I know not everyone everyone might not have Thanos, especially if you're a newer player, because he has a 100-shard unlock, and he's actually unlocked, as we'll get to further in the Nexus campaign. But if you did get lucky as well for orbs, then definitely gear him up because he'll be usable quite far into the future. Now, I put Ebony Maw there. It's highly unlikely that if you haven't even got this far, you probably don't have Ebony Maw, but I just wanted to post it there just in the event that someone does. Otherwise, I would consider Juggernaut as a 5th member. And now, if you don't have any of those 5 there, I would also say that you could use Ronin or Nobu. They both double for the Phoenix event as well, but I would consider gearing them a little bit less than some of the ones in the above category. You could use Yondu if you happen to have him up for whatever reason for the Star-Lord campaign, but other than that, I would try to focus on the ones in the in that first category there. So definitely focus on Hela, Loki, Mordo, and Thanos if you have them and are using them for this event, for this campaign, and they will get you a lot further, and you'll definitely be using them into the future anyway. So that is what I would recommend for unlocking Hela. Now, moving on to villains 7-7 to 7-9. This is the Ironheart unlock. I don't have a photo of Ironheart for some reason. I don't know why I couldn't find one for her. But anyways, so you can use any villains in your roster. So this is quite easy, I would say. It's not that difficult. Lots of good available characters to choose from, but some of the better ones obviously include Thanos, Ebony Maw, Mr. Sinister, Emma Frost, Hela, Loki, Carnage, Venom, Scientist Supreme, Baron Zemo, Minerva, and Ultron, among others. So this is not an exhaustive list. There are lots of characters to choose from. The ones that probably have the best sustain and are the most meta will obviously make this a lot easier, so just keep that in mind. And I did put a star on the ones that are unfarmable, and also if you've seen my previous slides, that is the case. The underlined white ones are what I call legendaries or pseudo-legendaries like Ultron, so I probably should have mentioned that in the beginning. So moving on to Nexus campaign now. We're on Nexus 8-1 to 8-3, and this is unlocked after clearing Villain 7-1. As far as I'm aware, and comment down below if I'm wrong. Pretty sure this is the case, and you don't actually need to clear the whole Villains chapter to get to Nexus 8-1. So any characters are available in these first 3 nodes. It's pretty flexible, so again, just use your best, strongest characters with synergy, and you'll probably have no problems. But the power level requirements are much higher than Heroes and Villains 7, so keep that in mind. The enemies are in the 50 to 60k power range, so you probably would want a team at least in the... Probably, I would say 250k. You might be able to squeeze by lower depending on what characters you're using, but if you want to 3-star the nodes, that's probably what I would recommend there. Now moving on to Nexus 8-4 to 8-6, this is the Karnak unlock node. You can only use Kree, Guardians, and Asgardians only. Now, the Asgardian team would be the easiest to clear here if you do have the full team available to you after unlocking Hela previously in Villain 7-6. If you've done that and you have the rest of the Asgardians available, that's probably the best team that you could use to clear this. But if you don't, then you can consider other fill-in characters such as Captain Marvel, Star-Lord, and Minerva. That will help you get through these nodes as well. Particularly Minerva will definitely help you there. If you don't have any of those, or if you need 2 more characters, Rocket and Groot are a useful duo to use to sub them in, but I wouldn't use them separately. So if you are going to use them together for obvious reasons that you get Groot's taunt and things like that, and they work a lot better that way. So that is a total of 10 possible characters that I would recommend. I wouldn't recommend dipping into like Ronin and the Kree minions at that point. If you're really grasping at straws, you do want to focus on characters that will take you further into the game and not them preferably. So moving on to the final segment here, and that's Nexus 8-7 to 8-9. This is the Thanos unlock segment. Now you're only going to be able to use S.H.I.E.L.D., Brotherhood, and X-Men for these nodes. I'm going to point out that the Phoenix plus X-Men with Beast, if you do have Beast available to you, that is the easiest method for 3-star. Now, if you don't have Beast, you won't get 3-star because you'll be using Phoenix and most likely you'll spawn Dark Phoenix, and that means a death. So that's going to be an automatic 2-star. So keep that in mind if you are looking to go that route. Other than that, you could consider S.H.I.E.L.D. with Nick Fury and Coulson, which can definitely help there. Of course, Nick Fury is a little bit harder to unlock these days, especially for newer players because of the Kree minion requirement, and I don't normally, I wouldn't recommend people to go out of their way to unlock Nick Fury at this point. So if you do happen to have him unlocked and you can use him for this, great, but I wouldn't go out of your way to farm for Nick Fury just for this. Yo-Yo is also very useful, but she's incompatible with Colossus, Shield Security, Nick Fury Summons, and any other protectors that you plan to use for this. Juggernaut as well. But Magneto and Juggernaut are a useful duo here if you can combine them with 3 other characters that you have available. You could probably get away with using other Hero Mutant characters aside from Phoenix. You could use Colossus, Wolverine and Cyclops, something like that as well, and that'll probably get you through this as well. But you will need a higher team power, probably around the 250 to 300k team power range, unless you're using Phoenix with Beast, because you will manage to clear this probably a lot easier using Dark Phoenix, but you need to make sure that you have Beast with you, because his passive allows you to actually 3-star it despite having a couple of deaths. So make sure that you have him if you are going to use Phoenix, and you could probably clear it with probably about 200k, maybe a little bit less than that, just because of how powerful Dark Phoenix is. So I just wanted to throw that out for you guys here, and now I just wanted to give you some final tips and suggestions for these campaign chapters. With ISOs available now, consider class changing to healer, even if you're using level 1 for all the characters that you plan on using in the campaign, unless you have better, level 3+ of something else, but the extra sustain and the healing that come from the healer class actually could help you push through some of these more difficult nodes a little bit easier without dying. Particularly villains 7-1 to 3, if you were to stack everyone with healer ISOs, I think that you'd actually get through it a lot easier. When preparing for each of the sections, maximize power on the better characters and less on the crappy ones. So don't put too much investment into like Nobu or Ronin for villain 7-6. Try to use it on your best meta characters first, and then compensate at the bottom if you really need to get that 3-star. Also maximize your resources by only putting what you need into each character and testing if you can clear it or not. You don't want to put too much resources into some of these characters if you don't need to. So just trying to make sure that you can 3-star it at probably the minimum or near to that would be probably best. So maybe try it once or twice, and if you can't do it, then put some more resources in and try again. And try to gear only the characters who will most likely have the longer term, I said longer term purpose, I think I meant to say longer term impact to the game, and don't waste on others that unless they're completely necessary. So any of those meta characters that are in any of those lists of characters that you can use, definitely focus on those characters more than the weaker ones, because you'll get more longer term use out of them in this game than you will like I said, putting into Ronin or Nobu, other than for clearing the Phoenix legendary event. But for those whose main goal is just Hela, just a reminder that you only need to clear Heroes 7-1 to get there. So, you don't need to clear the whole Heroes chapter to unlock Villain 7, and I just wanted to make sure people are aware of that, and that's clear, so that if that's what people's goals are, then that's all you need to do. And really, that's all I could think of there. My apologies for not having more exact, clear minimum requirements on some of the other segments. I know that villains 7-1 to 7-3 are probably the most difficult due to the characters required, and really the only firm power levels I know of there. But I do hope that some of this helps for those who are revving up for level 70 or are already there and just need a bit of advice on how to conquer these nodes. So that's the end of my video, and of course, if this was informative for you, then please smash that like button down below, and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, stay safe, and I'll see y'all later. Boylon signing out.